Warning, warning. This is a global ice out. Global ice out. Testing the right speaker. Right. Testing the left speaker. Left. Sound successfully recovered. Swan Commander. Connected. And now, the countdown has begun. And now, are you ready for a journey that goes beyond the norms? The Federal Prospects Hockey League just celebrated its 15th anniversary. With a footprint and fan base rapidly expanding, Swan Hockey is now bringing you behind the scenes. Beyond what you see at games. Beyond the arenas. Beyond the crowds. This is FPHL, Beyond the Glass.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of FPHL Beyond the Glass. I'm your host, Eric Swanek, Swan Commander on social media. We are back, week four. Week four just wrapped up in the 2025-2026 FPHL season. And a lot of goals Friday night, Halloween night. Probably one of the most highest scoring weekends I can remember in professional hockey. A lot of goals, a lot of excitement. And this episode, we are going to be joined by Brant Sherwood, the head coach of the Binghamton Black Bears, the team that everybody pretty much deemed the team to beat, two-time defending champs. We are going to sit down with Brant and talk about Binghamton. We're also going to be joined by Dave Jackson, who is back with us this week. Last week, he was not with us. He was busy with ESPN with the NHL Frozen Frenzy. So we got Dave back. We're going to talk about some stuff with Dave. And let's get into it. Brant, what's going on, man? Thanks for being here. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Eric. Appreciate it. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we were just having a conversation that we cut short before we started this because we wanted to bring it to this. So, common theme of the show all throughout this, back half of the summer was that you guys were the team to beat, and everyone was excited to play you. A lot of guys said, if we can't build a team to beat Binghamton, what are we doing?
I think that's just kudos to what we've been doing here the past couple of years. So I appreciate that from all our opponents. And I think it's just raising the level of competition and just kind of raising the bar of this league. So the fact that, every team's trying to match up against us, it's shows that we're doing such a great job. And obviously with the two back-to-back championships, it makes sense. We're doing a great job recruiting and coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let me ask you this. What's the mentality with that in the locker room? Is it pressure for the guys that every team is excited to play you and every team has you guys pegged as the team to beat? Or is it kind of like, haha, we're already in their heads? Like, what's the mentality in a room like?
At the beginning of the year, I just said we got a target on our back, boys. And everyone's going to have their championship game against us. I mean, we saw it Saturday night. Port Huron took us down, and I leave those doors open in the hallway just to hear them hooting and hollering. So it gives us a little more motivation when we play them next. But it's I think it's a compliment. And I don't think there's too much pressure. I thought last year was our pressure year. You're expected to win. The first year we were kind of like the underdog. No one really expected us to, make that type of run in the playoffs going undefeated. But last year, we had to meet the expectations, and I thought we did a great job of handling that. We never lost back-to-back games. Just very resilient group that was dialed in the entire year, and I think it's just our day-to-day operation and holding these guys accountable and making them realize they're pretty far from the NHL, and you got to keep them in check and always be working on our habits and details.
Yeah, and I love that you just mentioned you never lost back-to-back games last year. I want to come back to that. in a bit here. So you made another interesting point that everybody's bringing their championship game against you guys. And, that's something I think a lot of people don't realize. Like even in the NHL, you see it like some maybe bigger area teams like Toronto. Everybody's kind of bringing their A game to Toronto because there's a lot of players from that area, right? So there's a lot of players that are jacked up for that game in Toronto because they're going to play in front of their friends, their family. And it's kind of similar with you guys where you guys are the team to beat. Nobody's taking a night off against you guys, right? So in terms of everyone bringing their A game, it does make stuff tougher on you guys. Like you guys have to bring your A game every night.
Yeah, everything's amplified. So they're going to be working their tails off against us, and we need to make sure we're doing the right things as far as against their forecheck, especially. I think teams go a little bit harder and ramp up the physicality. So we do everything we can to prepare these guys for the week, and I think a little bit part of it we've been dialing in the conditioning this year. So I think that shows with our start. So our Mondays have been different this year. Our Tuesdays have been a little bit different as far as the work ethic and what we're demanding from these guys. So yeah, it's when people come or when teams come to play us in our building, we know that we're going to get their best game, and we have to show our best game as well. It's every night, give it your all. We're not saving it for anything, and I think it just builds and preps us for playoffs down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Because people do have you guys circled on the calendar. I mean, it's because I've even asked a question back a couple times to a couple coaches, like hey, like we're talking about Binghamton, we're talking about that game being circled, we're talking about them being the team to beat. How do you balance that in your own room? My question to them was like, how do you balance that in your own room in terms of like, hey, we don't want to get hyper fixated on Binghamton either. Like we need to make sure that when the Binghamton game rolls around, it actually means something. Like we have, all these other games that have to win. We can't, and that's kind of goes back to my question in the beginning where I was like, are any of your guys using this as kind of like, haha, we're already in their heads. Like they're thinking about us. Like
the boys are listening. They listen to your podcast. They listen to a bunch of different podcasts and they hear what people say and they know we're the target. And, yeah, I think we have a couple dates circled against some other teams like Port Huron with circle. We knew that was going to be a big weekend and definitely happy to get 3 out of 6. Definitely. We wish we got both games, but they played a great game on Saturday and took it to us, and we got baited into their physicality game, and good on them. But we're really looking forward to Athens in 2 weeks. Not to skip over Indiana, and like these other coaches, I think Grammer said it best. Like you just got to take things day by day, focus on your own team, and then prepare for the weekend. But yeah, you're definitely thinking about some games ahead. Sometimes you just try to not let that creep in the room.
Yeah, and Indiana, like, I mean, obviously you've seen it. There was quite the panic last week over a team that was having their best week of the season so far. I'm not saying that everything's ironed out, but Indiana obviously, like I said, they had their best week out of Point in Topeka, coaching change, player changes, like they're going in the right direction, which is nice to see too. Like I said, a lot of panic last week for a team that was in the middle of having their best week.
Well, they got a good guy behind the bench now. I think Everett's going to do a great job there. He did pretty well in Baton Rouge, and he's going to demand a lot of the players. And
yeah,
they're going to play his style of game that he played as a player, and that's forechecking hard. Being within a stick length, they're going to hit and stuff like that. So, yeah, they're going to be a lot better than what they were the first week. That's for sure. We'll see a different type of Indiana team this upcoming weekend.
Yeah. Does anything change for you? Like obviously, the team that you're playing this weekend kind of was completely different last weekend.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing every week. We reevaluate the past weekend, see what we can improve on and do better. So this past weekend, we didn't have any goals off the rush, so we'll be working on that in practice and also defending the rush. We gave up a couple goals off the rush, so that's kind of the point of emphasis. But still, at the beginning of the year, you're trying to lay down everything in your foundation. Like we just hit 5-on-6 situational hockey last week. The week before was like a deep dive into our PK. So there's a little, it's a little difficult at the beginning of the year to kind of lay that down. But we always reevaluate the past weekend, and then we prepare for the next weekend. And the next weekend kind of starts on Wednesday. that's usually kind of our routine, like seeing what they're doing, seeing how they're forechecking, breaking out, their O zone rotation, how their D zone set up, stuff like that. Some teams are a little bit more unpredictable because they might not have that structure down, so it's a little bit hard to prepare for. So sometimes the focus just becomes on ourselves.
Yeah, and the scary part, I guess, for some of the other teams about what you just said is like obviously you guys do play with a lot of structure. The structure teams usually get stronger as the season goes on because, to your point, it takes a little bit for the guys to get it down, understand it, and now start executing it at a higher and higher level, and that builds week by week by week. So you usually see the teams that are very structured, they usually get better as the season goes on, where teams that are a little bit more freewheeling, less structured, there's less wheels to get in motion, so they kind of get off to a quicker start. And with you guys being a more structured team and still getting off to the start you have, probably a little worrisome for some fans around the league.
Yeah, the run and gun can only get you so far. So I do think where I played in the past, like I've been on some really good teams. Mississippi River Kings, we had two great squads when I was there for 2 years, but we always got knocked out of the first round. We didn't have too much structure. We didn't have a control breakout. We didn't have like set forechecks and really dialing in our systems. It was kind of willy-nilly out there. So our whole goal as a coaching staff is for us to shut up by March, and then the players take ownership and they know exactly what to do, and then it trickles down to the college guys. So like if we don't have it dialed in by even January, February, as far as everyone being on the same page, knowing what's expected of them in different situations on the ice, then we didn't do a good enough job at the beginning of the year of laying down that foundation and making sure guys know what to do out there.
Yeah, and I want to come back to the statement you made earlier, where you said that last year you guys never lost back to back. And it's funny that you said that because that's something that I wanted to bring up on this show and kind of dive a little bit deeper into the actual coaching side of things and locker room side of things. So, I deal a lot with the junior hockey players in terms of mentality, perspective, all that kind of stuff. And what's interesting about the situation in Binghamton, and, you really don't get an opportunity to talk about this kind of stuff with, actual examples because your situation's so unique with all the success you've had. We talk a lot about, perspective and opposite ends of the same spectrum, right? Like you can't have light without dark, can't have sound without silence, right? They're opposite ends of the same spectrum, right? The same is true for like, you can't win without knowing how to lose. And for you guys, obviously the fans that you guys, everybody wants to win every game, right? But at a certain point, there's value in losing a few, right? Because does it really matter if you lose 7 games or 10 games? Does it make a difference? Probably not, right? But in the standings. But in terms of knowing how to bounce back from that, knowing how to handle that, knowing how to lose and still be able to be mentally strong and bring your A game the following game, it's something that has to happen because to your point of never losing back to back, I mean, the playoffs are best of 3, right? So you can't lose back to back come playoff, right? You need to learn that now. How do we never lose back to back? You can't experience that for the first time in playoffs. At least you don't want to. Like it kind of reminds me of a situation. One of the teams I deal with a lot, in the Quebec Major Junior League, they only lost like 9 games all year. 2 of them were in the Memorial Cup, right? Which is probably so 2 of them in 1 week at the Memorial Cup. I don't know if it affected them, but that's it's unfamiliar.
It's very hard to do, but like you're saying, you learn so much from your losses. Like some of our wins I consider losses, and we have to hold these guys accountable. But at the same time, I try to put myself in these players' shoes, and they're like, "Coach, we just won 5-2. Like, who cares? Like, we're good, we're rolling." But at the same time, it's like, no, we didn't win in the right way. So you gotta have those teaching moments, whether it's through video or on ice, whatever it might be. But at the same time, like you need to lose. And what I've learned from not losing back-to-back games is it's our culture in a room. We have the right character, and I need resilient guys. I need thick-skinned guys that, can be criticized and then respond the right way. Like we have a ton of terminology around our room, and one of the big ones is make up for your mistakes. guys are going to make mistakes all over the ice. It's hockey. There's bad bounces. You might be taking a chance or a risk in a situation that you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But I want those guys to have a little bit freedom, especially offensively. But all I care about and what Q and I preach to these guys, make up for your mistake. It's all you have to do with us. If you turn it over and then you have bad body language, you're hanging your head, palms up, Henrik Lundqvist style, blaming his D, then we're going to say something to you. But most of the time, we're not going to say something to you after a mistake because you already made that mistake. Now, if you do it 3-4 times, yeah, we'll be in your ear. But you have to be resilient, and it's a part of our culture. You always have to bounce back. You always got to get back up. So never let that dwell and just focus on the next shift and keep it present.
Yeah, because I think like obviously so important, and not getting too high, not getting too low, just living in the middle, even keel and everything. Yeah, I think it's again, you don't get an opportunity to talk about this kind of stuff a lot, like with a real life example, because it's a very unique situation that you guys are in. You only lost it was 7 games last year, right?
Yeah, 7 games total, and to just piggyback off that, it's a lot to do with our leadership in the room too. We appointed the right leaders, like Tyson Kirkby. He says I can be too nice to these guys sometimes, so he has to lay into them or demand a little bit more. But even some of the guys I brought in this year, I want guys that absolutely hate to lose. Like win, think about it for like a half hour, and then we're flushing it, moving on to the next day. I want losses to like stick with these guys and really have it bother them a little bit more, like it does with me. So if we have that in a room, it's usually you're usually gonna have a good bounce back game or come back with a better effort.
Yeah, guys that could stay focused and adjust, and like you said, not make the same mistake twice, learn from the mistakes. Like there's positive to every negative, right? Again, going back to the opposite ends of the same spectrum, right? You learn from the mistakes and take the positive out of it. And what you just said, Andrea said the same thing in episode 2, where he said that that's what you and him had in common, is that you guys both just absolutely hate to lose.
We hate
and
it.
It's just like, well, it's working out well so far.
They're getting their butts kicked by Danbury for quite a while with Billy behind the bench, and they had an awesome team. And I met Andreas at a Starbucks in Rochester. Came up with a plan to beat the Danbury hat trick. Said it worked out well in the regular season, but didn't work out too well in playoffs. They really took it to us, and I honestly took a lot of things from that team that I saw, and they're a tight knit group and all stuck up for each other. They seemed like a pack of dogs, and that was something we were missing. So, happy for those guys, happy for the North Division teams to keep showing up and showing out. But we definitely learned a lot from Danbury that year and tried to mimic it a little bit, but kind of with our own personality and style.
Yeah. Yeah. And the North Division, I mean, a lot of people talk about the South and how strong the South is. I mean, the North, and AJ said it last week, that, the North really has some sleeper teams. Like,
they work harder. I'm telling you, I watch video on everyone. I feel like there's a comfort zone with the South, but we get a lot of crap up north is saying, oh, it's the weaker division, it's this, that. Like Port Huron, they like have fun against those guys. They're a tough team to play against. Danbury, tough to play against. Watertown, tough to play against. You're gonna feel it night in and night out. So I think it's a little bit more even than what people say, but we just focus on ourselves, head down, and stay ready to work.
Yeah, for sure. And like, what was your mentality coming into the league, right? So that's one of the things that has really improved in this league over the last couple of years, has been the coaching. And you've gotten a lot of compliments on the show in terms of your coaching ability. What was that like? And again, we talk about pushing the pace and, just always trying to elevate everything in the league. What was that like when you first came into the league and hitting the ground running and kind of being, again, pushing that pace on the coaching side of things with the league?
I was learning on the go a little bit, but I was learning on the go a little bit and trying to figure it out. But I just wanted, the team to kind of adapt my personality and style as far as work ethic, having fun at the rink every single day, and putting their best foot forward and doing anything for the team. We like a lot of things changed. So we had a ton of weekend players when I first got there, and I saw that as like these guys are working Tuesday to Friday, preparing for the weekend, and then guys are showing up. And I let Oliveri do it for the past couple of years, but I saw that as a problem. There's only a couple outliers that can do that, and that was a big culture change. Was like implementing a routine that's so professional of every place I've played, and almost trying to mimic the East Coast Hockey League, and trying to do the same setup as far as video preparation, practices, just off ice habits, stuff like that. We've just added so much, and I think it was just a huge culture change. And our ownership got on board, everyone got on board, and now we have great workouts for Mondays. We have a Pilates instructor. We have access to CryoWorks where they do the cryotherapy. We have a Normatex, steam room, hot tub, all that stuff in our locker room. So we have all the tools for these guys to succeed. You just hope they're using it as much as they can so they're prepared for the weekend. But it was definitely a huge change, and I think it just elevated the league, and other people started recognizing it, and people are catching on, and it just creates a more parity throughout the league.
Yeah. Your locker room is sick. I was up there a few years ago. I think it was the first year that the team was in Binghamton. Like, it's crazy.
I was skeptical about the Fed. I played in the Fed in 2015, 2016, and then didn't really see it again after that. So you hear stories like the bus breakdowns, housing situations. Like when I first got in the league, it was 4 beds to a room, pick a corner, put your stuff down. I was like, as soon as you got out of there, you're like, I'm never going back. I'm staying in the Southern Pro. But now it's starting to change a little bit, and there's that gap's getting a little bit closer with the FPHL. So happy to see where it's going, and definitely the locker room was a big sell for me. And I have family up in Binghamton as well. My grandpa, my grandmother, aunts and uncles are right up the road of 81, so they get to come to the games and stuff. So it's been a blessing. I didn't think it would last this long, but I'm so happy I landed in Bingo, and Andreas hired me.
Yeah. No, it's a great spot. Maybe we'll have to do like a Cribs edition of the podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
Take a tour of the locker room.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, that's awesome. Anything you want to say to wrap up here? Anything you're looking forward to? Any message to the fans? Anything that you want to?
Just thank you for showing up and showing out. We appreciate it. You're the fans. You're part of my recruiting process, so I get to sell these kids on like, yeah, we pack the house almost every night. We average around 4,000 in a 4,500 seat arena. So it's been awesome to see the community get behind us and create such a relationship that's like these players will walk into a grocery store and they'll have 10-15 minute conversations with a fan, and that type of engagement, you don't get it at every level. So I'm very proud of the character we have in our room, the support that we have upstairs, and the community that we have behind us. It's second to none, and it's truly a hockey town, USA. We love playing in Binghamton, and it's been a true pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like the fan engagement, another thing that we've talked a lot about on this, and yeah, it's really cool to see everything that's going on in the league and going on in Binghamton. And Brant, thank you so much for doing this, and we'll have to do it again soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's awesome talking with you, and then listen to the other guys talk. I'm just waiting for some more bulletin board material from some other coaches.
I love it. So awesome. Well, sounds good, man. Thanks again.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too. Hey guys, Our new merch drop is live now on SH360. Visit 360.swanhockey.com and you can access it now. Once an item is gone, it may never return. You can also check the time capsule for older items. All SH360 purchases have season pass points attached. Just make sure that you use the same email address on SH360 as you do for Swan Hockey Digital. For more information or help with season pass, join the Discord. Dave, what's going on? Welcome back. Missed you last week.
Yeah, doing well. Last week was a little busy. We had the Frozen Frenzy on ESPN. 32 teams playing, 16 games. I covered 3 consecutive games on ESPN, plus a bit of studio work for the stuff going on in other games. Some great hockey. I'm not sure if any of you guys saw the early game, the Philadelphia Flyers game, but we had overtime. We had 2 penalties in overtime. We had 2 disallowed goals in overtime. We had a fight as the period ended. We had all kinds of obscure rulings. Goaltender coming off the ice, player jumping too soon, goal being disallowed because of it. People wanted too many men on the ice called. It wasn't. It's premature substitution. People wondering why guys couldn't participate in the shootout because they'd been given misconducts earlier in the game. Just all kinds of stuff. But it's nice when you get to be busy versus just being a spectator.
Yeah, for sure. It's got to be a lot of fun, especially an event like that. Very, obviously a unique event, all 32 teams playing, and yeah, it's awesome.
A lot of fun. Sorry I missed you guys.
Well, we all missed you too. So I let everybody know you're going to be away, but we all missed you too. Yeah. So back to Federal League action. What do you got in terms of suspension this week? I know there's not many. Only one, right?
Yeah, I think maybe the players are buying in and going, don't piss off Dave. Just play the game. No, it was a great weekend. We had a couple of minor incidents, and by and large, the teams played hockey. They played good, hard-nosed hockey, and some great results and some great games. The only suspension we had was for a illegal check to the head, which was a really, for me, it was one of the toughest sort of calls I had to rule on this year. Partly because we don't obviously have the same camera capabilities as we do in the NHL. You see a hit made in the NHL, we can get probably 5 different camera angles, zoom it in, all in 4K high def. In many of our buildings, we have one camera angle that catches the angle, and so a player put himself in a bad situation. He was bent over and he was spinning, and the player went to hit him. I do believe he got the shoulder first, and the shoulder then went into the head. But the player getting hit has a black helmet. He had black shoulder. The sweater is black. The player hitting him also had like a dark colored helmet on and black shoulders. So it's really tough to tell if there was head contact or not. If I could tell, first off, the referees did a great job calling the play in real time. It looked bad in real time. The player went down. He ended up being hurt. I think he went to the hospital afterwards. Referees did a great job, and I support their call live. And then it becomes to me, and it's up to me to go, I have to break it down frame by frame. And was there head contact? To be quite honest, I think there was head contact. So normally that would be a match penalty. If you injure somebody with a illegal check to the head, you have 2 options. You have a 2-minute minor for illegal check to the head where there's no injury, and then you have a match penalty for illegal check to the head with injury. And typically in the Fed, what I've been doing is, if it's a legit match penalty, it's 2 games. If we have injury as a result of a match penalty, it's probably 4 games unless there's extenuating circumstances. Well, in this case, I felt there was extenuating circumstances. I couldn't tell 100% how much head contact there was, but just based on the fact that the hit was a bit greasy. It was I wouldn't say predatory. I don't see it being malicious. I think maybe it's a little bit careless. So I could not let the player just skate and say, well, it was a good hit, because I really don't think the player was embellishing who went down. So I ended up giving the player a supplemental discipline, 1 game suspension. We have to acknowledge that there's always going to be an onus on the player making the hit, and we want to keep players safe. So that's why I didn't get up to 4 games, but he also didn't skate with nothing. So one game, and it was a pretty tame weekend otherwise.
Sure. And you touched on it there. I had a question I wanted to ask you. So the difference between something that comes across your desk versus, maybe a goal judgment call, something on ice where, obviously with goals and stuff, there's got to be clear cut video evidence to overturn the call on the ice. When stuff comes to you, you have a fresh slate, right? So like you mentioned the limited camera angles, or not limited, but maybe not as many as the National Hockey League. You don't have to, like, you're on a fresh slate, right? Like there doesn't have to be 100% clear cut video evidence. You can use discretion. Like, hey, I've seen enough. This is what my gut tells me. I'm going with it.
And that's what I have to do many times. And not everybody's always going to agree with me, but I try and do what's fair for the game. And like in this case, I don't think either team was happy. One team didn't think it was a penalty at all, and the other team thought the guy should have got the book thrown at him. And I kind of split the baby in half, and I don't like to do that. And you can see my past rulings. I usually take a stand. On this one, I felt that the onus needed to be on the player making the hit, not to cause an injury. However, my gut just told me I can't in good faith give the guy 4 games when there's an element of doubt as to how much head contact there was. So yeah, that's just part of the job. I mean, I look at things and I try and do what's right. And so there we go. I'm not always right, but I always get the final word.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, now let's dive into new rules for this year in the FPHL. Stick infractions. The rule has been adjusted to mirror the National Hockey League. Let's dive into that.
Yeah. So what we were up against the past couple of years is we have young coaches and we have old coaches. We have young referees. We have old referees. Some are stuck in the mentality of the past where, let the players play, let the players decide the game, which is kind of an old school thinking, because by letting the players decide the game, you as a referee are still making a decision. You're still deciding not to call something and allow guys to cheat. And is that really fair? The players really aren't deciding the game. The guys that are cheating are deciding the game. And we would look at things like, in the past, we would look at, say, a hook on the hands where the guy loses the puck going through the neutral zone. We go, well, it's a long way from the net, so we're not gonna call that hooking. But with the new with the NHL standard, what that says is, how do we know what play he was going to make? Maybe he was going to rim it in and he gets his hand hook, loses the puck, regains possession, dumps it in, but now his forward's offside because his forward was anticipating an immediate shot. Maybe he has to bobble a puck and then he ends up losing it, and 10 seconds later it's in his own net.
Sure.
So we can't read minds. We need to what we've empowered these referees to do is, here's what a penalty is. We show them videos. We're using the NHL. The NHL.com has a video rule book, and there's some great video showing hooking, showing slashing. So we said to the referees, watch these videos. I said to coaches, watch the videos. Show them to your players. If you reach in with one hand, we don't want it to be an automatic penalty. That's the way it was coming out of the lockout in 2005. I did it. We were told, clamp down on the hookings. Anytime a stick got horizontal to the ice near the hands, we threw our arms up.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
They weren't all penalties. We had 30 penalties a game in preseason. It wasn't fun, but the players finally bought in. I mean, we had to overcall. We don't want referees guessing. We don't want referees going, well, the stick was horizontal near the hands, we're going to just call a penalty. That's not what we want. There has to be an impact. But if that stick is near the hands and it's just one-handed, and it, you get it in there between the stick and the glove and you twist it and that player bobbles the puck, that's a hooking penalty. And it doesn't matter if it's at center ice or it doesn't matter if it's in the slot. You can't do that. That's not a hockey play. You're not trying to play the puck. You're playing the guy's gloves. So we're going to see a lot more hooking penalties until guys learn. You can't do that. Second thing was, and the NHL brought it in because I think the genesis of it was Sidney Crosby got his pinky finger broken. And it wasn't a lumberjack slash. It was just a quick whack on the hand. Players were realizing at that point coming out of the lockout, you can't hook, you can't interfere, you can't hold, because they're all going to be called. So what are our options when we beat? Whack the guy's hand. And if it's not that hard, we weren't calling slashing. We were letting it go until finally superstars go, yeah, it might not look that hard, but we're out 3 weeks, 4 weeks with a broken finger.
Yeah.
So we're telling the referees, if it's anywhere near the hands, so I'm saying the middle of the shaft of the stick and up. If it's a forceful chop, and you don't have to guess. You don't have to guess and go, I think it got his hands, but maybe it got the shaft of the stick. It didn't matter. Going back to what I said, it's not a hockey play. You're not attempting to play the puck. You're attempting to hit his hands and either knock the puck off his stick, and that's where guys break their hands. So we're telling the referees, anything near the hands that's forceful, or even if it's not forceful, it causes them to lose the puck, it's going to be a slashing penalty. So we've had an increase in slashes and hooks this year, and it's going to continue. We're not backing off. It's up to the players to adjust. And when the players adjust, we won't have to back off. The calls just won't be there to call. And we'll see better hockey. We'll see better showcase. Nothing more frustrating than your team getting a scoring chance and a guy whacks a guy in the hand and loses the puck and there's no more scoring chance and there's no power play. It's frustrating.
Yeah, for sure. Or even, you bought tickets for the game coming up in 3 weeks. You're excited. That's the game you're going to, and your favorite player's not playing because he got chopped in the neutral zone 2 weeks ago.
Exactly.
It'll make for better hockey, right? Like every coach screams, right? Move your feet, right? Guys are going to have to start moving their feet more.
Move your feet. Guys hook and slash when they're beat.
Yeah.
Right. So move your feet, don't get beat. And if you do get beat, well, you're gonna have to give the guy the scoring chance. Otherwise, you're gonna take a penalty.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's where we're at. Let's showcase our skill.
Yeah. No, I love it. So yeah, this season's off to a great start. Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, Dave, we'll be right back at this next week. And
sure.
Yeah,
we thank you.
Thank you again. I feel like I don't have to thank you anymore. I mean, like, you're part of the show at this point.
Part of the show. We got a bunch
every week, but
bunch of great games this weekend, and hopefully I can be that the Maytag repairman again. I can just sit and watch some recaps and not have to do anything. But they come in waves. There'll be 2 weekends in a row. We'll have nothing, and then we'll have 8 or 9 in one weekend. It's just must be a full moon or something.
Yeah. Well, hopefully guys are starting to get it, and yeah, well, it appears they are, but yeah, and I guess we'll see or wait for next full moon.
Well, we certainly cross our fingers.
Yeah. All right, Dave. I'll see you next week.
All right, Eric.
All right,
good talking with you, man. See ya.
You too, as always. Hey, everyone. Don't forget to join the Swan Hockey Discord server. Joining is free and gains you access to our podcast chats, giveaways, season pass discussion and help, junior hockey camps and showcase discussion, NHL on Xbox and PlayStation discussion, and more. Join today for free at swanhockey.com. And there you have it. Week 4. Before we end, a reminder, if you're participating in Season Pass Rewards, our free rewards program, you can get points for streaming these episodes. For more information and how to set it up, visit swanhockey.io. You could also join the Discord server for assistance. And speaking of Season Pass Rewards, all levels 1 through 5, you were airdropped a special Halloween gift. It is now in your inventory. I think it looks pretty cool. But yeah, you could go check your inventory on swanhockey.io, and that is now in your inventory. So, yeah, as always, for any help, just reach out in the support channel in the Discord server. And a reminder to everybody, we also now have our brand new FPHL Beyond the Glass Facebook group. Feel free to join. It's kind of like a light version of the Discord server. Yeah, I understand that Discord is probably new to a lot of people, maybe a little intimidating to some. So we have this Facebook group as well now. Feel free to join. Still encourage everybody to join the Discord though, because the Discord is there's just a lot that we could do with it that we can't do with any other platform, and it connects to the Swan Hockey digital experience and season pass rewards. So, but yeah, that's a wrap. I will see you guys soon.
Thank you for being the best part of this episode of FPHL Beyond the Glass by Swan Hockey. We will see you soon.